I'm going to show you in 10 steps how you can find an unprogrammed device on an Edwards fire alarm system. Now, if you don't know what an unprogrammed device is, that is usually a device that is put in that the system actually assigned an address to, and it doesn't have a message and it doesn't have a label. So that way, if it is an unprogrammed device like a smoke detector, it will still sound the alarm in the event of emergency. Now, for you to fix an unprogrammed device, there's only about 10 steps. You could eliminate some of these steps you're going to need to take in order to find this unprogrammed device. Now, the first one is you want to first record the actual device. You want to see what card it's on. You want to get the address of that particular device, so that way you can at least make a mental note to know where you're going to have to look for on this particular fire alarm system. The next step after that, once you identify what the card is, you want to locate that card. You should know if it's on the first rail, second rail, which node it's in. Wherever that card is located by the address, you should be able to find and identify that card. And the next step after that, you want to connect your download cable from your laptop to that card. Now, when you connect to that card, you're going to be doing it in a single step. You're not going to be downloading over the network because there's no other card that you have to get to but just that one card. So let's jump inside the programmer so I can show you exactly what to do. So now once you connect it to the card, you want to go over to tools and then communication. And if you have a large system, there's going to be a bunch of stuff there. So what you want to do is just right click on an SSD card. If it's a dual or single, whatever it is, you want to right click on a database because that's the only thing you want to see. You locate your loop card. Once you locate your loop card, you click upload and you upload that loop. Once you upload the loop, you will get the actual field device that's installed on that card. So the next step after that is you will close this, go back over to tools, signature series, and then you will go to mapping. You could also upload the loop from this point here. If you wanted to, you would just do a single step, click upload, and then it go to the next screen for you to upload the system. But for here, we're going to go over to loop 3, card loop 2 and loop 3, and we're going to see that these devices are blue. I want you to ignore these devices because the new map hasn't been uploaded. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to show you how you can find an unprogrammed device. So once you upload the loop, that particular device may be blue or it may not be blue. But what you want to do is locate that address. You could either go into, you can click this glass with the F inside of it to search. So you click that, and what you want to do is you want to just search by the device address. So whatever that device address is, you will type that in there. It will locate that device. Let's say if this device number 27 was the unprogrammed device, it would not have a label. It would only have an address and a 4-digit serial number. So how you will find it is you will locate the device in front of it, which is number 17. You will locate the device to the right of it, which is number 14, and you will locate the device after it, which is number 16. Once you identify these addresses, 17, 16, and 14, you record those serial numbers, the 4-digit serial numbers for all 3 of those devices. What you're going to do is get the label of those devices. Whatever those devices are will point you in the direction of where the unprogrammed device is. So let's say device address number 17, it's a sensor. So what we want to do is close this out, go into configure cabinets, into the FACP, we want to look for the modules, and we want to go into loop 2 and 3. We want to click on LRM config, and it was device number 17. So that's the loop 1, and it's device 17. So it's the first set of detectors. The first 125 addresses for smoke detectors. The second 125 addresses is for your modules. So being that it's device 17, it let me know it's on loop 1 on the first one. So we want to look for device number 17. So let's say device number 27 is our unprogrammed device. It won't have no label or anything like that. So as you see it here on the map, I will write it out. Device 27 will be in the middle. Address 17 will be above it. Address 14, address 16. And what I would do is record all of the serial numbers so that way I know I am on the right device. I'll close this out. I'll go over to configure cabinets. We swing over the modules and select loop 2, loop 3. Once we hit the LRM config, we know that the first batch of addresses, the first 125 addresses is for the detectors. The second 125 is for the module. Same as if you have a dual loop controller, the next batch of 125 would be for the smokes. The next batch will be for the modules. This is how you will get 500 devices on one loop card. Each loop on this card can hold up to 125 devices. So we want to look for, on loop 1, device number 17. So after we record it, we go to configure and we go to objects. Once we configure the objects, we can do this a couple of ways. We can scroll straight to that device, or we can select smoke, because we know it's a smoke detector. If you just type in SM real quick, it'll just come up with smoke. And we see that, and we know that we had device number 17. So device number 17 is an area smoke detector in the cellar, IFO room 36. So if we know that if we know we have to look for room 36 in a cellar, that'll be our starting point. So we will record that. Number 17 is room 36. The next device will be room 14, which would be room 102. So what we want to do, we know it's on loop 2, so we got to scroll down because this is all L1. So we scroll down to loop 2. And loop 2 on device number 17, as we scroll over, we see that that's the first floor, and we can verify the serial number 8870 because we recorded that. So that's the first floor, room 162. So we'll record that. The next device was number 14. And then that's the locker room, 158. Then the next device was number 16. And that's also first floor, room 160. So now we have 3 starting points that we could actually start from. So now at this point, you just pick a room to actually start. So if it's the smoke detector, you go straight to that smoke detector, disconnect that smoke detector, and then from there, just trace the cables out. Or maybe you may see the 3 cables right there themselves, but you want to trace the cable from that point to the next device. If you don't find it, go to the next point. Then the next point, you will definitely find your unprogrammed device if you break the loop down in that particular order. So now that you found the unprogrammed device, you know exactly where it's at. You're going to give it a label. You're going to give it a message so that way you can program it inside the objects and then download it to the system. Now, being that it's a smoke detector, this should be fairly easy. So the only thing you would have to do is give it the next label so that way it doesn't have the same repeat label, and also give it the message of the exact location of where it's at. So if it's on the first floor by these lockers, let's say if it was outside but above the ceiling, you could say now this smoke detector is above the ceiling, locker room 136. Now let me show you. You go over to configure and you go over to objects. Once you're inside your objects, it's going to be on that loop. You want to click on smoke, SM real quick so you can bring up the smokes. So now you want to click on that loop, and it's, let's say it gave it an address or whatever, it gave it an address. So now we go to that address. The address was 27 because 27 was the unprogrammed device. So all we have to do now is look at the label text. We see the label text is all in sequential order, 25, 26, 27. But let's say 27 wasn't there. So what we would have to do is find the next available one. If we don't know that 26 or 27 is the next available one, all you would have to do is scroll all the way down, find out what is the last number that they're using for this particular area, and pick that number. Even though it may not be in order, it is okay. It'll still work the way it needs to work. Now, once you give it the correct label text, the rule is already written because it's already grouped into all of these smokes that have that same label. So now next, all you have to do now is give it that message of the exact location of where it's actually located. Now, once you do those 2 things, you give it the label text and you give it the message text, you're not finished yet. You have to do a 100% compile because you don't have to write a rule. Like I said, once you define the label, it's already going to group it into that same group of labels with the sequential numbers. You want to go to Tools, Database Conversion, and you want to convert all databases. For me to know that I have to download to multiple cards, any changes that I make, if I add a period, if I capitalize a letter that wasn't capitalized before, it is understood that the CPU also needs to know those changes. If I'm just replacing a device and I'm matching a device from the same device, the CPU is ignored. It doesn't need to know that because I didn't add anything extra. However, if I add something extra, I'm gonna have to download to everybody that needs to know that that extra was actually added. So if you have a node system that has a network with 20 panels, all 20 panels need to know what this new unprogrammed device is, not just this singular panel. Once you compile your database, the next step after that, you will go to Tools and Communication. You will right-click on a loop card, you will right click on the CPU and you will right click on the database. Now, what you would do is, if you have multiple CPUs, like I said, all of the CPUs, all of the enunciators need to know the change, and only that one loop card. Not all of the rest of the loop cards, just that one loop card. However, all of the CPUs need to understand that this change had been made. So once you do that, you download to everybody and then wait for the download. You're not finished after that. Once the download is complete, let the system fully map in. Then you go over the tools, signature series, status and diagnostics, select that loop, and then connect to that loop. Wait for it to fully map. Once the map is 100% complete, then you upload the new map to that database, so that way the computer have the correct information, and also inside the field with the fire alarm devices also had the correct information. All right. So I hope that helps you figure out how to find an unprogrammed device. You're going to need a laptop, maybe a little bit of help, 10-foot ladder, and maybe a duct detector you have to get to. But in most cases, it's usually a smoke or something easy to find. If not, just put a little work in, find it, make the changes inside the laptop, and then have the system recognize that particular device with a new message label, so we could find, or the fire department can find, that particular device if it actually goes. Okay, so if you want to learn more about fire alarm, hit the Fire Alarm Training Center. We're building out a NICET course. We're starting off with over 120 questions for NICET 1, NICET 2, 3, and 4. So it's going to be over 400 questions that you can use to help you pass the NICET exam, no matter what stage you're at in your growth when it comes to the NICET. In addition to that, we're also going to be developing a NICET course to get you CEU credits, so that way you can get credited by taking our training and keep your NICET certification. And lastly, I am licensed by the New York State, not only to install fire alarm and security system, but to teach the New York State 81-hour course. We're developing a course to submit to the state, so that way we can get approval, so that way we can be the one-stop shop fire alarm solution for you, to teach you how to become a better technician, and also how to transform into a CEO. So we're here to do that, to help you, because there wasn't really no one to help me. So I'm trying to help you, so that way we can make the fire alarm industry a way better industry than what it is. All right, so I'll catch you in the next one. And if you have any questions, let's chop it up in the comments. Don't forget, hit the training center. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.